There's an echo in the background somewhere. How are you both doing? How are you all doing tonight? I'm Willie Bragg. Well, yeah. Okay, I see where that's coming from. Okay, can y'all hear me now? Yeah, let me know if you can hear me. Uh, any first person to answer works. So just let me know if you can hear me. Welcome back to the Willie Bragg Show. I'm Willie Bragg. I had it on my actual YouTube channel, so I was hearing my voice double up on me. So okay, thank you, Desert Man Mantis, thank you. So tonight I want to discuss Alex Jones. As you all know, Alex Jones came back on Twitter, and that's very controversial for a lot of folks. Positive, negative, and very little bit of a middle ground when it comes to actually having Jones back on Twitter. And I got a lot to say about that. But first, let me say, Warren, how are you doing today? I presume there's not a secret show. I mean, Weird Wednesday tonight, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing Weird Wednesday and the secret show back whenever it actually comes back on the air. So, Desert Mantis, I hope you're doing well. I think I saw you earlier today on the Gray Zone, same with Warren and Gamer for that matter. Okay, I know that T. Smith was a thing. Yeah, there's a reason I'm talking about Steve Schmidt. So yeah, unfortunately he is still a thing, and that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. So in connection to Alex Jones, let's see here. Oh, thank you, Desert Mantis. That's a rip off of a song called I forgot the name of the song. The main band is Nora, but it was somebody kind of did their own little vibe to it. Give it that post punk new wave vibe. Yep, like Warren says. Yeah, it's that 80s vibe. I'm culturally stuck in the year 1986, so as you can probably know by now. All right, let's see. We see you, right, Willie? I figure so. Let's see. Those were the golden years. Yep. Yep. This is very similar. Yep. Generation X got good taste in music. Seeing growing up. Yep. Definitely all Generation X myself. Let's see here. Hello, gamer. And anybody else who are going to be here? I haven't seen any newbies yet. So scrolling down. Okay, let's get started with Steve Schmidt, Alex Jones, Elon Musk, Twitter. I really don't like calling it X. It bothers the hell out of me. It bothers the hell out of me to call it X. So I still insist on calling it Twitter. If I'm forced to call it X, it's because I will make it clear it's X. But as far as I'm concerned, it's Twitter. Fuck Elon Musk. Fuck all his wishes and demands and all of that. So anyway, yeah, um, just like Donald Trump, um, Alex Jones is back on Twitter, and I got a lot to say about that because I'm a free speech absolutist, and anybody who watches the show knows that about me, and that includes viewpoints of people that I passionately disagree with, whether it's Donald Trump, Alex Jones, or whomever. So, and that's the thing right there. I mean, I was fine. I really was fine with with Donald Trump coming back on Twitter. I had no problems with that, and I had no problems, with people, you know, with a different point of view, um, being on the platform of Twitter or any other platform for that matter, because it's not because I'm cheering them on but I do believe in the exchange of ideas. So, and honestly, as horrible as Donald Trump was, I thought it was irresponsible not to have him to take him off of Twitter. And I did vote last year. I think it was like last year. I did voted last year to reinstate him back on Twitter. I had no problem with him being on Twitter in the first place. But what's really odd about this is that Raul Castro, the younger brother of Fidel Castro, had his Twitter account taken away from him. And because of that, I'm thinking, what the hell? I mean, I'm not a tanky. I'm not a Marxist Leninist or what people would call a communist. I'm a democratic socialist. I make that clear. Having that said, even in terms of a nation like Cuba, in terms of what people will call a communist state, is probably on the gentler end of that type of society. I mean, it's a civil society. It has universal health care. It has a great educational system, a great public transit system. They don't have a homeless problem. And they are actually their countries at the United States back that's considerably less free than Cuba. I mean, and I always thought that the sanctions against Cuba was stupid. One of the better things Obama did is he was lightening up on the sanctions before he left office, and Trump doubled down and brought it back in. And I don't know what's going on right now with the sanctions on Cuba and travel restrictions or whatever. I would love to visit the country. But Raul Castro had his Twitter account taken away from him. He's 92 years old. I don't think he much cares these days. However, I think it's wrong to take away his account. I mean, why do that? What purpose is there in taking away his account? Probably more than anybody else right now that I would like to have their account back. Of course, that would mean pardoning him would be Julian Assange. And as you know, that I'm a big time supporter of Julian Assange. So, in conjunction with restoring his Twitter account, maybe they should pardon him and make him a free man again. And even if he's guilty of a lot of things that they claim he's guilty of, I like the fact that he caused the United States a lot of trouble. I make no apologies for that. I am actually happy that he caused duress with the neocons and the shitlibs that control this country. So, getting back to what I have to say regarding Alex Jones, there was a video today I saw this morning when I got home from work. I was going to do this on Alex Jones, and I had another subject in mind, but then I realized, well, hey, let's talk about Steve Schmidt, the man that founded the Lincoln Project, because there's a lot to say about him, his take on bringing back Alex Jones on Twitter. So let me get set up, and I will share you my take on this. Whoops. Hold on a second.
Important.
Let me go and put it back in the beginning because I don't know if it went through. You could hear it all the way through. So let me start.
There has never been a calm period in American history. But there are eras that are exceptional in their turmoil. Franklin Delano Roosevelt wasn't just a great visionary. He was the most important and exceptional leader of the 20th century. Truly, he was Abraham Lincoln's peer. He saved free market American capitalism, American democracy, and ultimately the world. He was the...
Well, I'm not going to disagree with what he says about FDR in terms of what he did. He did save the world from fascism. Although the internment of the Japanese in Americans was not one of his better points. He did basically saved this country from the Great Depression being worse and actually got us out of the Great Depression. Never believe what people say about FDR prolonging the Great Depression. There's a lot of historical revisionists. And in that regard, I guess on this one, I'm not going to fault Steve Schmidt on these points he made. But there is more, and there's a lot to disagree with in this video.
The architect of the American-led world order that followed the most brutal event in all of human history, the Second World War, which killed across the globe more than 100 million people and saw the near extermination of Europe's Jews. Franklin Roosevelt in 1936, appearing before the Democratic National Convention, said to the assembled delegates that this generation has a rendezvous with destiny. He was correct. It is also true that this generation of Americans has a rendezvous with destiny because we too live in momentous times. We live at the fracture of the tectonic plates between one era and another. Roosevelt understood the vision that he held would not endure forever. His goal, as he told the Canadian Prime Minister, was that the era of American dominance that he saw coming, an era of peace and stability, where there would be no more global wars, would last for as long as everybody who was alive on the day the war was won was still alive. We have come to the end of that era and the end of the long lives of the generation that had a rendezvous with destiny. The generation of Jimmy Carter, the generation of President George Herbert Walker Bush and Eleanor Roosevelt.
George Herbert Walker Bush. I think about George Herbert Walker Bush. He's a war criminal as the head of the CIA, and what he did during the Reagan administration was also made him a war criminal. He covered up what happened by arresting Manuel Noriega. This is just before the first Gulf War took place. The United States actually allow a lot of drugs to flow into this country to go and arm right-wing rebels down in Nicaragua. And the fact that, when I compare Donald Trump's indictments and all of that and everything, certainly I think he's guilty of a lot of these things that he's guilty of, but a lot of these things he's guilty of, other politicians have done it as well. I'm not saying he should get away with it at all, by no means saying that, but at the same time, I just think it's really interesting that once the shit-lives decide to go after the opposition, they go after the opposition that's probably the least bad out of any opposition. A bad man, yes. Somebody I would never vote for, Donald Trump. But George W. Bush and George Herbert Walker Bush, Ronald Reagan were significantly policy-wise in many ways. Never mind the bombastic meanderings and mean tweets and unpolished brass style of Trump. Brush that aside. Policy-wise, we're in the mess that we're in today in this country. Not because of Donald Trump. He's the symptom of what's wrong with this country. I would say Joe Biden is the symptom of what's wrong with this country too. But Ronald Reagan and neoliberalism jump-started the shit swamp we are in right now. And Steve Schmidt is part of that shit swamp.
Isabel. We all know that there's something terribly wrong in America. And we all know that a momentous election is ahead. Many commentators, including me, say this is the most important election in American history because for the first time we have.
I am so tired of, this is the most important election in the history of America until the next 2 years. And then in the next 2 years, they'll be like, this is the most important historical election. You got to get out and vote. And then what do people do? They'll vote for shit choice A or shit choice B, Republican or Democrat. That's what they choose. And then they're like, well, why we're in the mess that we're in?
We have a president who is overtly stating that he is against the Republic, hostile to the Constitution, that he has no intention of being president of all Americans, but rather the leader of a faction seeking retribution against his enemies. He seeks to imprison.
Yes. And how does that make him different from any other president? We had every president, to my memory, in some way or another, has overtly violated constitutional rights, including Trump, including Biden, and including all these motherfuckers going back as far as back as we can remember. A president violating the Constitution is nothing new under the sun. Nothing new under the sun. Don't act like this is different.
Prison them.
And you talk about imprisonment. What about Julian Assange? I'm sure Steve Schmidt is fine with Julian Assange being in Belmarsh over there in England. That's the UK version of Guantanamo Bay, rotting away in prison. People like this do not need to lecture about free press and free speech, because if you support Julian Assange being tucked away in prison and being charged with, violating the Espionage Act, I tell such people, do not ever lecture me about the First Amendment.
No. He seeks to lock them up. He is talking about building concentration camps and deporting millions and millions of people. He is talking about deploying the United States military as a police force into the streets to restore order in the name of some event that hasn't yet occurred.
Won't happen, because if that happened, do you think that the generals who hate Donald Trump will be like, yes, sir, we'll get right to it? There will be a coup, a military coup, if President Trump or any other president tries this sort of shenanigans like the Insurrection Act. And look, fuck Donald Trump for trying to implement or enact the Insurrection Act back in the summer of 2020 against peaceful protesters. And even some protesters who were not, quote unquote, as peaceful. There was no need to have an Insurrection Act. And so absolutely, fuck Trump on that one. Yeah, fuck Donald Trump on that one 1,000,000 times. But you know what? I believe other people will use it just as quickly. I think Ron DeSantis will use it quicker than Trump. I almost think Nikki Haley would. And, as far as, trying to curtail freedoms and civil liberties and free speech and, what have you, what about Biden trying to implement the Disinformation Governance Board? I mean, if there was one thing that Republicans were shitting a brick over where I was on their side, was this Disinformation Governance Board that would actually silence people from expressing themselves. Independent news, for example, a lot of people will be shut down. Even mainstream, even corporate press and corporate media would be shut down. And I was glad that it was put to a stop. I'm also going to brag that Nina Yankowicz had me blocked on Twitter. So that's a good thing.
And this person is winning the election. All around us are signs of decay, markers of corruption. The explosion of anti-Semitism is one of them. Jews are only ever safe in one form of government, healthy democracies. Jews were not safe in Israel on October 7th because of the epic failure of the Netanyahu government, which has broken Israeli democracy, and thus even in Israel made it unsafe for Jews. And here,
on that one, we will agree. We will agree. And you talk about somebody who's worse than Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu is one person, one such person. And, you think about 20,000 kids who are orphans in the Gaza. Can you imagine how much rage, they're going to have because of his action? he might actually end up basically encouraging 500,000 people or more around the world to become, to engage in acts of violence against the West. And I blame Benjamin Netanyahu on that one. So we will agree on that one. I'm actually surprised, someone like Stephen Schmidt would say that. I mean, stop clock gets the right time twice a day. So
here in the United States, the poisonous dogmas seen at Ivy League schools have seeped into many, many corners of American life. And even in America, Jews do not feel safe. Many people don't feel safe in America. They feel like everything is unraveling.
Now, I want to talk about the safety of those in the Jewish community. And just like racism, homophobia, and all the other hatreds out there, I have zero tolerance for anti-Semitism. But when you have Fox News claiming that Palestinians protesting what's going on in Gaza, that's not anti-Semitism. You're not being anti-Semitic if you're complaining about what a government's doing to your people. Just as Israel banned Rashida Tlaib of Michigan from visiting Israel, even though she's got relatives in Israel, she's a Palestinian. Or, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene calling for the arrest of people from Jewish Voice for Peace protesting. And objectively, how the hell, even if you support Israel, how the hell can anybody sit there and support what they are doing currently? There's no way. There's no way you can be a good person and support what Israel's doing right now in Gaza. It'd be one thing if you went after Hamas for what they did on October 7th. But here's the thing. He knew it was going to happen because the Egyptians warned the Israelis that it was going to happen. And the Egyptians are not particularly fond of Hamas themselves for their own reasons. And Israel chose to ignore it because, it was in their advantage to go and try to go and commit an atrocity that we are seeing right now over there in Gaza right now. And it is an act of evil what's going on. But that I'm kind of sliding into another subject for another time.
Let's look at something that happened this weekend. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, an anti-Semite, a man who repeated almost verbatim the calumny and the slur of the Tree of Life synagogue killer before he went in to murder Jews with an AR-15 with the words, "I'm going in." Musk said the same thing. His platform is Munich in 1938.
It is not Munich 1938, the platform. And that's just a sneaky way to try to call out for censorship right there by throwing around, Munich as a talking point.
Is the home of a digital mob pursuing, hunting, assaulting, attacking, degrading, and dehumanizing. And now, because of Elon Musk, the world's richest man, the proprietor of Digital Munich circa 1938, Linda Yaccarino's corrupt boss, we have the return of Alex Jones, the tormentor of the parents of the murdered children, the murdered first graders of Sandy Hook. And there was Alex Jones chatting it up with Andrew Tate, an accused rapist and human trafficker. And of course, the bully, the fascist, the music man himself, Vivek Ramaswamy. Vivek Ramaswamy, who has emblazoned the word truth on his campaign signs, with no hint of the irony that he appears more like a character from a George Orwell novel, scheming, seeking power.
Okay, I'm no fan of Vivek Ramaswamy either. Except that what he's been saying against Nikki Haley is true. Listen, me, I'm going to vote for the guy. There's a lot of things I could tell you is wrong with Vivek Ramaswamy. But the things I find wrong, mostly with Ramaswamy, might be things that Steve Schmidt might find palatable. Yeah, I mean, I do think that Ramaswamy is full of shit. I think he's the Republican Pete Buttigieg in many ways. You know, smart guy, yeah, what have you. But just a used car salesman and full of shit. That's true of Pete Buttigieg. That's also true of Vivek Ramaswamy. But a stop clock always gives the right time twice a day. And all the verbal shit that he's been spewing at Nikki Haley, she has it coming to them. And Nikki Haley is the type of Republican that the Lincoln Project loves. They want to return the United States back to the Bush Cheney years. And that's what it's about, by the way.
Power to destroy freedom. All around us, we see the signs of a great decay. It means something when Elon Musk and Alex Jones and Vivek Ramaswamy and Andrew Tate convene together on a platform without restraint. It means something because our bonds are fraying. The ability to discern real from false, right from wrong, reality from delusion. Democracy.
I don't like any of these people you just mentioned. Elon Musk is a piece of shit. Andrew Tate is a piece of shit. Vivek Ramaswamy is a piece of shit, and Alex Jones is a piece of shit. With regard to regarding the Sandy Hook shooting, yeah, as you could say, take down those videos where people were feeling threatened. Yes, but there was no reason to shut down the channel. And the thing about it is, people like Steve Schmidt, in spite of everything that's horrible and negative about Alex Jones, some of the things he's not saying that, but some of the things that he hates about Alex Jones will be some of his better points, like when he was pounding away about George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and the war back during those years in Iraq. Or even during the Obama years when he was starting to go into really, really sketchy territory with the bullshit birther theory about Obama. Obama was born in Hawaii. And I'm saying this as somebody who don't like Obama either. But here's the thing. He did support Occupy Wall Street, which is a no-no to people like Steve Schmidt. Also, in addition, regarding Occupy Wall Street, why would someone like Steve Schmidt be opposed to Alex Jones supporting it? Because at least Alex Jones was reporting on the cops' mistreatment against leftist protesters at Occupy Wall Street. I mean, he'll tell you he doesn't like socialists, but he had a problem with socialists being attacked, and I was like, okay, I can go along with that. Doesn't mean that I'm a fan of InfoWars. Doesn't mean I'm a fan of some of the false things he was saying, but the man is a clown. He's a clown. And I never took Alex Jones seriously. To me, Alex Jones, if you will, someone, Sean Hannity is more toxic to the political discourse than Alex Jones ever could be. I still don't want Sean Hannity's channel to shut down or him to be deplatformed. But I couldn't believe how many people cheered Alex Jones being deplatformed across the board to make an example out of him. And here's the thing. When people who are on my side of the fence, I'm talking about the people, they may be slightly to my right, but these people who are mealy-mouthed progressives, who are kind of supposed to be more or less look at the world the way I would look at the world, cheering on the deplatforming of Alex Jones. I'm like, it's going to be a matter of time before the powers that be goes after the left. And they have gone after the left. They have gone after various channels on YouTube, for example. Harlan's Media and the Combo Couch would be have been shut down or demonetized and all of that. I know that Harlan's Media got remonetized, but there's I would like to donate to the Combo Couch in a super chat, but you can't because it's on the chat line. There's no option to go and donate in a super chat, for example. There are other channels where I noticed that you can't do that with, but you can't do that with Jen Perlman. What's the name of her program? Generational Change. I noticed that you can't donate. There's several channels across the board, and it's YouTube way of going after independent content makers, and that's what it comes down to. And so, we have to all be careful what we say. My channel isn't monetized yet, but the thing is, we have to be careful what we say, because whatever we say, they could demonetize us, they could shut us down, they could do whatever. I have videos that I had made in the past that they have shut down and took off the air because on YouTube, because they claimed that it violated whatever standards that it violated. And I look back and I actually watched the video again to see if the video incited violence. None of it incited violence. None of it did any of these things. None of it provided misinformation or whatever else that it was saying. I was 3 videos that this happened to. I have 3 videos that was taken down by YouTube for these bullshit reasons, and they will refuse to put it back on the air. And we're talking about videos from last year, 2021. Let's see, hold on, I'm trying to think. There's 3 videos that was taken down. So what can you do?
He requires commitment, and the fight ahead will require a fierce devotion to the truth, to decency, and to a defense of ideas. That human beings do not get their liberty from men like Elon Musk and Alex Jones and Andrew Tate and Vivek Ramaswamy. That rights come from a creator above our to control, to understand, to condemn, to litigate with. And
freedom and liberty comes from having an enlightened view of society. And with all the faults of the founding fathers, because a lot of them were wealthy slave owners, they had a lot of faults going on. They had a lot of things going against them. But in spite of that, they created a document called the U.S. Constitution, an imperfect document, because there's a few other human rights language I would love to see added to the Constitution. I would love to see an amendment, for example, to guarantee medical care to all Americans, taxpayer funded, and have it guaranteed as a right. I will add such an amendment to the U.S. Constitution in a heartbeat. I will also add an amendment that explicitly, even though the death penalty is unconstitutional when you read the language, I would go and have explicit language abolishing capital punishment in the United States. I will also have an amendment to the Constitution that would grant each and every individual bodily autonomy, to protect you from the state. I don't mean like any sovereign citizens bullshit, but I'm talking about basically where you as an individual, you can do whatever you want as long as you're not harming others. There's a lot of laws where where you're being micromanaged by the state, and I have a problem with that. So some people's like, how can you be a socialist and you oppose micromanagement of the individual by the state? Because I'm a socialist, and I don't believe in government control and government takeover for the sake of government control and government takeover. I don't necessarily believe in small government. I don't necessarily believe in big government. What I believe in is having a government that serves its basic function, which is to serve the people. But at the same time, I believe the people have a right to live freely as possible. There is nothing contradictory in what I have to say about that. So those are the 3 amendments I will add to the Constitution. I'm sure Steve Schmidt will have a problem. And I'm sure Alex Jones will have a problem with some of it too. So in some areas, I can guarantee you that in some really bad areas, that Steve Schmidt is closer to Alex Jones than I could ever be. In some of the good areas, well, we know where Steve Schmidt's not going to take a positive stand.
And those rights include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for all of us. And we must rekindle the spirit in the country in order to defeat the ugliness and the extremism and the menace of the forces who have arisen once again, like they have many times in the past, who seek to take power by tearing it all down. The answer to it is a powerful weapon. It's Americanism. It's the idea that we, the people, can maintain a government by the people, of the people, for the people, that we are capable of self-government. We are capable of perfecting the union, of making things better, and we can do it. We can do it without demeaning and dehumanizing and forgetting the lessons of the 20th century, which are as important as they have ever been to fully appreciate and absorb in this moment of crisis. Thank you.
Yeah, here's the problem with what he just said. The problem with what he just said is that he's going to be repeating the same mistakes that we made in the past. And, just the answer is not to silence people. The answer is never to silence people at all. The answer is basically to allow the free flow of ideas around as possible. And I find it very, very scary that there are individuals like this who's influential. Somebody told me, well, Joe Biden became president because with the help of the Lincoln Project, and we must be grateful to the Lincoln Project. Why the hell should I be grateful to the Lincoln Project? Not that Bernie Sanders is based anymore, but 3 years ago when I thought he was based, and they still have the same opinion of Bernie Sanders, the people from the Lincoln Project would be just as frightened with Bernie Sanders being president as they would Donald Trump. They will be like, oh my God, we got a Venezuela in our hands. We got a Cuba in our hands. Any problems that exist in Venezuela is because the United States bully Venezuela. End the sanctions, end the grip, extend your hand of friendship. If the United States must buy oil from a foreign country, what better places to buy oil than from Venezuela? That's right. And Venezuela, what they do with nationalizing the oil companies and everything is no different from how Norway conducts itself. In fact, the government sector of Denmark is much larger today than it is in Venezuela. And Venezuela is a free market economy. I know that conservatives would be like, oh, no, it is not. They own everything right down to the toothbrush. I mean, they'll say some hyperbolic shit like that. No, Venezuela is still a free market society. It's governed by a socialist party that's to the left of social democracy. Not quite Leninist, but there are Leninist elements, and I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. I mean, the people of Venezuela voted for Maduro, and their rights must be respected. And it's not in the U.S. place that say, oh, we're going to consider Juan Guaido as our president, as Venezuela's president. How dare Donald Trump and John Bolton did that several years ago? How dare? It's not in their place to decide for the people of Venezuela or any other country. But we got Americans that think, no, it is in the U.S. place to decide how things are conducted in other countries. Well, they could say the same thing in other countries and be like, well, yeah, fuck y'all. I'm going to do what I can against this country. The United States got a lot of people pissed off with them because of the shenanigans they like to pull off a lot of times. But I think that there are people in other countries knowing that there are people here that recognizes the stupidity and at best and outright evil that this country commits around the world, where people are suffering and actually losing their freedoms because of some of the client states that the U.S. supports. So I just wanted to share that with you all about Twitter bringing back Alex Jones. And for the record, does it make you a fan to sit there and want to see a return of Alex Jones on Twitter? I don't care who you are. Everybody has a right to be on Twitter. I personally would like to see Twitter taken out of the hands of Elon Musk. I'd rather see it being regulated as a public utility. Everything else in social media, whether we're talking about Google, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, you name it. I would love to see it all regulated as a public utility that will protect the rights of all people, both the individual publishing the work and the publisher, the social media outfit itself. Sort of Max Blumenthal talked about a digital bill of rights one time, and we kind of do. I would say that's probably a good idea to have a digital bill of rights enacted in this country to protect all speech. So, and here's the thing, if there's anything that's threatens somebody's life or violence or child pornography, it thinks that we know those are boundaries you don't cross. You don't allow those things, but you do allow people to express whatever political opinions that they have. You don't outlaw people's ideology. You do not outlaw, you do not engage in thought control. In other words, make 1984 fiction again. George Orwell must be turning over his grave right now. So, let's go ahead and talk about let's go ahead and talk to everyone here. I'm going to scroll right back. I see Miguel. How are you doing, Miguel? I see you there. Let's see. You're on all the chat lines, I noticed. Anybody else? So, okay. Let's see here. Let me go through this list of this chat line here, and we'll talk about the talking points here. All right. We'll start with here with Gamer. Let's see. DARE program, the war on drugs, fell big time, and an officer started the DARE program under Reagan. Yeah, a lot of things that happen that we have to contend with today happened under Reagan. The militarization of the police, I believe, really just started to take place strongly under Reagan, and then the Biden crime bill, which it looked like a kind of monstrosity George Herbert Walker Bush would have had it enacted had he been reelected. And and each president will do something a little more authoritarian during their time. You saw with the Department of Homeland Security under George W. Bush, for example. So whether we're talking about the Department of Homeland Security or Disinformation Governance Board or unleashing the insurrection acts against Americans or attempting to, we see an ongoing trend toward authoritarianism. And we need to say enough of the authoritarianism. Let's see. I disagree. So definitely it has nothing to do with Jews and everything to do with Israelis. Yes. Like Gamer said, it's Zionist. Let me see. It's Zionist and Zionism. Here's the thing. Zionism is a political ideology. Judaism is an ethnicity and religion, and they're two different. They're both different. I mean, they're one separate from the other. And so that's the thing that people need to realize right now. Let's see. Jews don't feel safe in America because other Jews' agenda are scaring the fuck out of them, not anti-Semites. Well, the thing about it is the Christian Zionists are probably the reason why, because a lot of the people who are cheering on the Netanyahu government, honestly, I'm hearing more evangelicals cheering that shit on than I do Jewish Americans. Jewish Americans, even those who may support Israel are puzzled by to the inhumane extent of the Netanyahu government. So this is not a Jewish thing. This is a Zionist thing, a Christian Zionist thing more than anything else, because they like what's happening right now because they want to do a self-fulfilling prophecy, which could endanger all of us as a human civilization. Let's see here. Currently support Israel. Anyone who currently supports Israel has no clue what's really going on, or they know and are propagandists. Very spot on and true. Very spot on and true. There should be no Israel. They need to go back to Europe. They stole Palestinian land and murdered them. Here's my take on this. My take on this is that it was a mistake to put a Jewish state in what was Palestine. What should have been done after World War II as a form of reparations for the Jewish people, what they went through under Hitler, that the Soviets, the Americans, the British, and the French should have taken East Prussia, which is now pretty much northern Poland, and designated that as a Jewish homeland. Allow an Israel to be a European country, if that. Or as I think, to paraphrase Max Blumenthal again earlier, I was watching The Gray Zone, and he said, I think it was something along the lines of, "If there be no Israel," I shouldn't say this, but if there be no Israel, Jews would be no different from Episcopalians, but funnier. I think he said that earlier this evening. I thought that was kind of funny when he said that. So, let's see. Go back to Ukraine and Russia too. Yeah. Well, I don't know about the Ukraine right now because it's kind of not safe with the Azov battalion there. So, but the only way this could be solved right now, neither side's going anywhere. So instead of an Israeli state or a Palestinian state per se, there needs to be a new state that's, you can call it a binational federation, or you could just say it is a new secular state that just happened to have Palestinian and Jewish residents in there, and some kind of a constitution that's supposed to guarantee rights for every group there living there. And it would neither be a Jewish state nor a Palestinian state, but a secular democratic state as a successor to Israel as it currently exists. That is my position. If that's the only way, I think some good can come out of this. You just got to have people who are committed to it. So, otherwise, I don't know what to do. There will be bloodshed otherwise, and none of us, I don't think, want this. Hey, shit, we are living in an Orwellian Orwell dystopia, and that is so true. That is so true. All right. I'm going to be scrambling around here because I got to get ready for my next video. I'm no fan of Reagan, but when he's to the left of you, you know that's a bad spot. Well, that's the thing right there. Moving the embassy to Jerusalem, that was not exactly a wise move on Trump's part. And there were actually, believe it or not, there were Republicans that thought that he was going to be not too friendly toward Israel because they, what they thought of Trump at the time. Some people thought he was a secret liberal. Reagan became Biden in the end, and Nancy and their astrologers took over after slipping into dementia. Well, think about it is we are in the 11th term of Ronald Reagan. No matter who's president, the Reagan presidency still lives on. We're still living under Reagan. We're living under the Reagan consensus. I don't know when it's going to end, but it needs to stop. Let's see. I'm just scrolling through here, and as I said, I'm gonna get off here in just a second. I think that'll be it as far as the chats are concerned. I just want to say, I want to say a couple of things before I go. For starters, I hope that hope to see you back again soon on Secret Show and Weird Wednesdays, and the Extra Bullet Live show, Warren. I miss those shows, but we all got to do what we have to do. I haven't been streaming a whole lot lately either, so just been tired. I've been overworked, and also I have family here right now. I had to go and get everything set up for them and all that. So it's just been kind of impossible for me. But hopefully I'll be streaming again regularly. There should be a Braglands on Friday. We didn't do Braglands last Friday because Jimmy had problems with her computer. So and I believe that Jamar Jabari agreed to come on this Friday. And we'll see about Thomas Salisbury from Tommy Nation Politics if he's still committed. But for the time being, looks like it's going to be another show on Friday, and that'll be cool when it happens. And I'm trying to think of anything else going on right now. It's hard to decide right now. I'm kind of tired. I guess that's it. So, let me just say, if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment if you disagree with what I have to say. We'll have a conversation. It's always good to have dialogue. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As the First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. And also remember to reject capitalism, free Palestine, free Julian Assange, and fight the good fight against all forms of injustice. Subscribe to the Willie Bragg Show on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Rumble. And, I will say until next time, which probably will be in the next few minutes because I'm doing another video. I am Willie Bragg. Hope to see you around very, very soon. Maybe sooner than you think. Take care. Bye-bye.